Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to assembly number 3. I'm going to start off today just by recapping those children that have already got a Mr. Incredibles, because I've been able to write those out now. And sometime over the Easter holidays, Mrs. Sampson is going to get these posted out to you, okay? So it's Polly Ashworth for keeping so busy at home. Your certificate's now made. Well done to you. And keeping busy and keeping so positive. It's really important to keep positive, isn't it? Rafi Patel working really hard at home. It doesn't surprise me to hear that at all, Rafi. You've got your certificate now written out. Jack Hedman filming a brilliant advert for the weather, a little video clip of him being a weather reporter. It really suited me. I think he was even wearing some glasses to make himself look like a very grown-up weather reporter. Well done, Jack. There's your certificate. Elizabeth Brown wrote a letter, a lovely letter, to Mr. Layden telling him why he was such a good teacher, and it was his favourite thing of the whole weekend, Elizabeth, so well done to you. And Freddie Lucan also decided to write a letter to one of his teachers, and he wrote a letter to Mr. Dormer, and that really made Mr. Dormer very happy. So well done to you, children. You're the first children to get some homeschool Mr. Incredible certificates, but I'm hoping to be able to read different names out every day over the Easter holidays. Bit of a Mrs. Sampson challenge there. So our story today is a special story. I've probably already read it before in assembly because it's one of my favourites, and it was given to me by my mummy and my grandmother when I first started teaching 20 years ago. And it's called The Story of the Mole, the little mole who knew it was none of his business. And there is the little mole with something on his head. It looks like a hat, but I think we're going to find out it might not be a hat as we read the story. One day, little mole poked his head up from underground to see whether the sun had already risen, and then it happened. It looked like a sausage, and the worst thing was that it landed right on the top of his head. You see the mole there? And here comes the sausage. Well, it looks like a sausage. I don't think it is a sausage. How mean, cried the little mole. Who has done this on my head? But the mole was so short-sighted he couldn't see anybody around. There he is, with hands on his hips, looking rather cross. Did you do this on my head? He asked the dove who was flying past. Me? No. How could I? I do it like this, she answered. And splish plish, a moist white blob landed on the ground right next to the little mole. His right leg was splashed with white. Can you see the little white puddle there? Did you do this on my head? He asked the horse who was grazing in the pasture. Me? No. How could I? I do it like this. And flump plump, 5 big fat horsey apples plopped down within a hair's breadth of the mole. He was very impressed. They look a bit like apples, don't they? Can you count them for Mrs. Sampson? Did you do this on my head? He asked the hare who was busy eating a carrot. Me? No. How could I? I do it like this, answered the hare. And rat-a-tat-tat, 15 little round beans shot past the mole's ears. He saved himself with a daring leap. I wonder if anybody here can count up to 15. That's a lot of little beans. Did you do this on my head? He asked the goat who'd been chewing the cud. Me? No, how could I? I do it like this, she replied. And plippity-plop, a pile of toffee-coloured little balls tumbled onto the grass. The little mole found them almost appealing. That's not very nice, little mole. Did you do this on my head? He asked the cow, who was chewing the cud. Me? Moo. No, how could I? I do it like this. And kaplosh! A big brownish green pancake flopped into the grass just next to the mole. The mole was very relieved it hadn't been the cow who had done something on his head. Look at that messy pancake. That does not look very appealing. Did you do this on my head? He asked the pig. Me? Me? No, how could I? I do it like this, replied the pig. And plop splat, a little soft brown pile fell onto the grass. The little mole held his nose. I wonder why the little mole held his nose. Maybe you can have a think. Did you do this on my... He was just going to ask again, but as he came closer and closer, he saw two big fat black flies. Bzzz, bzzz, and they were eating. At last, said the mole, someone who'll be able to help me. Who did this on my head? He asked excitedly. There's the two big fat black flies. Bzzz, bzzz, bzzz. Keep nice and still, buzzed the flies. There was a short pause, and then... It is clear to us, little mole, it was a dog. I hope it wasn't Bella. Finally, the little mole knew who had done the business on his head. Look at him marching off. I think he's going off to find somebody. Yes, it was Basil, the butcher's dog. So quick as a flash, he climbed onto Basil's kennel and ping! A tiny black sausage landed right on the top of the dog's head. What do you think that tiny little sausage might be? Satisfied at last, the little mole disappeared happily into his hole underground. And there he goes. I wonder why he was feeling so satisfied at the end of that story. Well, I hope you enjoyed that story as much as Mrs. Sampson. I think it's a really good one to have in your bookshelves at home. The story of the little mole who knew it was none of his business. Right, just before we go, some certificates for today. So, Lucas Terry, apparently you have made an absolutely beautiful blossom tree at home. That sounds really creative and a really lovely thing to do in the Easter holidays. So there's your Mr. Incredible certificate. We'll be posting that out to you this Easter holidays. Elizabeth Lindsay has been at home creating a recipe book. Elizabeth, I hope you can put Mrs. Sampson's Krispy Kreme chocolate Krispies into your recipe book. But I'd love, maybe you, Elizabeth, maybe you could send me a recipe because I'm trying to learn how to cook this Easter holidays. That would be brilliant. So congratulations to you. Alfie Greenhall has been working incredibly hard, doing lots of different activities from his teachers in transition. But what I love to hear more than anything else is he is listening with his ears beautifully to Mummy, and he's being a super kind big brother to his sister. This is the time at Easter when it's really nice to be nice to your brothers and sisters. So thank you, Alfie. I expect the Easter Bunny's going to be coming to visit you. Nina Kitson has been doing some really brilliant name writing, and she's all ready to show Mrs. Sampson and Mrs. Wilberforce her name writing. I can't wait to see that, Nina. And she said, can we please see Bella? So if you go on and have a look, Nina, there's now a little video clip of Bella and I going for a walk this morning, and yesterday Bella and I doing some cooking together. Have a look, Nina, and well done for work.